Yo, welcome back to the channel. So yeah, been a little while since I've done one of these, so hopefully it'll go alright. But yeah, finally got something worth talking about, I guess. As some of you will know, I was involved with the beta testing of the Bytefrost system, the first HD system from Fatshark. And yeah, you will have seen on my channel about a year ago that I bought the system and was testing it out. I wasn't very impressed with it. The image quality was quite poor, the range was quite short, the penetration was not very good, and it was on a 30 by 30 board, which for me personally wasn't very good. So yeah, unfortunately it didn't go down too well with with the community. I'd say 95% of the comments were negative. Number of things that people didn't like about it. So Fatshark almost straight away decided to not release the system and to go away and work on the things that everybody complained about. They decided pretty early on that they would rename the system Shark Byte instead of Bytefrost. That was so that when they released the new system, people wouldn't get confused with the old one. So that sounded really promising to all the beta testers, that they were really going to address all the problems and make the system a lot better. As more and more time went on, a whole year, well, it was about 9 months went by before we finally saw glimpses of the head-mounted module for the Shark Byte system, and it was looking pretty good. So yeah, after about another few months after seeing that, they eventually managed to release some units to the public. It seems to me like they had big issues with actually manufacturing them, but going on what I'd seen, it looked like it was exactly the same system, same camera, same performance, everything was the same, apart from that they'd just changed the form factor, ditched the ground station, created a module that clamps onto the top of the goggles, and changed the VTX form factor. So yeah, when the new system came out and I could see that literally all the suggestions I had made had been ignored, I was obviously not interested in buying it, because from what I could see there'd been very little change. I was a bit disappointed, but you know, I don't really care. I got DJI, so I'll just fly that instead. So yeah, it was a bit disappointing, and I didn't really bother like moaning at them or anything. I didn't bother contributing to the RC group forum anymore, because it was just like, yeah, not really worth my time. Got an email from Carl. He basically just explained a couple of things about the new system, and then offered to send me one, even though I was clearly disappointed about it. So I replied to him and explained how I was still disappointed with it, but if he wanted to send me one, then that would be great. I asked him why it was exactly the same system, why it was exactly the same camera, and he explained how RunCam could see how disappointed everybody was with the system, that they weren't willing to invest the money to develop a better camera. And that's what I got told by Divimath. So it says it all about the original system, but doesn't make a lot of sense why they would then be happy to just release the same camera again and not improve it. So yeah, it's a shame. It is a shame, but it does seem like finally Shark Byte is coming out, I think. Last thing Fatshark said about it was that it wasn't coming out until spring of 2021, yet it's on pre-order in a bunch of places. So Carl sent me it, obviously, I got it there. Carl sent me the Shark Byte system. He sent it me with the Whoop board, so I obviously wasn't at all interested in that double stack board, because it's unmountable, and from what I can see, they just break within a couple of packs, so they're not very reliable, and probably wouldn't last 5 minutes. Probably wouldn't last very long in my hands. So I got the wood board because I'm flying a lot of these 3 inches that use the toothpick size mounting boards. So I put it into my Odin. Exactly the same setup as my Vista version that I've made quite a lot of videos about, and that's been the quad that I've flown more than anything else this year, which is crazy to think that I've been flying 3-inch more than 5-inch this year, but it flies so good that, and it's so much fun to fly. I just can't help myself really. So because I'm so familiar with it, I figured put the Shark Byte system in one of these, because then I know it flies good, so there's not going to be any issues there. I know what the field, I can set it exactly the same camera angle that I use for all my other Rodins. I'm using exactly the same props, exactly the same setup as I've been using all year. So very familiar with the quad. I'd feel any extra latency, or if this has got less latency than DJI, then I would notice that as well. So yeah, let's roll the footage now of me flying it. So as you can see, if you've watched my previous videos on the Bytefrost system, this is where I do a lot of my flying, and so the footage is almost exactly the same. I hate to say it, but it's actually worse because they've made it nano. They put a much smaller lens on it, which just creates way more lens flare, and you can see all this really bad hazing effect where it's just not handling the light properly at all. It's obviously winter time now, so the sun's quite low in the sky, and it keeps going behind clouds because clouds are a thing. So this is just flying it in what is typical conditions for probably 6 months of the year here in the UK. Not clear blue skies, cloudy, cloudy but sunny. And as you can see, the footage is just it's okay. It's arguably better than Analogue, but I mean 200 milliwatts doesn't get you very far, and even when it's right in front of you, it's constantly flickering, and you've got constant interference, constant squares flickering all over the screen. Whereas, I hate to say it, I'm used to flying DJI now, so I'm not used to seeing any garbage in my screen. I'm used to just feeling a little bit of latency instead of seeing crap on the screen. It's clear that this obviously hasn't got any rapid fire image mixing or anything, so it's probably as it's switching between the two modules that's creating that constant white flash that fills the screen. I'm pretty sure that's when it's switching between the two modules, because even though it's got 4 antennas, there's actually only 2 receivers in there, but they've got 2 antennas wired into the same antenna input, which I thought that caused problems, but this little thing, it's quite heavy, and it sticks out quite far. Fatshark goggles are quite narrow on your face there, so when you put all this weight right out the front, they just go like this, they just fall off. I'm guessing on the top of the fan bit there's a little hook, which I'm guessing is so you can put an extra strap to go over the top of your head to actually keep your goggles held up, but I found whenever I tried to hold my head up, the goggles would just fall down, so I just held my head pointing down, but then of course your patches are pointing straight at the ground, so they're almost completely useless. So I'm not sure if you're supposed to undo the bolt and point this up so it's sticking out from your goggles or what, but I'm not super impressed with it. As I told Carl from Divimath before he sent me this thing, so I'm not being ungrateful. He knew that I wasn't overly impressed with it, so I'm glad that it is finally being released, because they need camera developers to develop cameras for it to make it work better. Foxy are bringing out a new camera called the DJI. I think that's out now, but it's exactly the same. Well, it's actually the same as the old as the Micro, RunCam Racer Micro HD from the Bytefrost system, because they've gone back to micro form factor. The only thing that's different about it is that it's got an analog output, because guess what? It's an analog camera and the system is still analog HD. Adding a MIPI cable and only using like less than half of the 20 wires that come out of it, take from that what you will. It's clearly not, it's just changed the wires from that we used to have on the Bytefrost camera, and they've just changed it to this MIPI connector thing, which honestly is just terrible. It's a bit of a, feels like a bit of a con to me, because it's obviously doing exactly the same thing. It is analog HD. I've been assured by Carl that the next camera that comes out is going to be a 4.3, a native 4.3. That 4.3 can be sent over the MIPI connection. So I guess, you know, I'll wait until that comes out and hope that the image quality improves. But for me personally, I really think that you get better signal, you get with less interference. I get way less interference flying analog with a rapid fire than I do with the Shark Byte system, and obviously I get zero interference flying the DJI system. So for me, it's almost at the bottom of the pile. The only good thing is that they got rid of the ground station, and now it's a bit more convenient. This isn't. I don't think this is perfect, but it's better than it was. That's the main improvement. The wood board might as well only have it go up to 200 milliwatts, because that's what the other ones can only do anyway, without getting so ridiculously hot that things just break easily. From what I can tell, like the original Bytefrost VTX, you could only put it up to 200. You go above that and you just have constant static. Maybe that dual board, some of the hand-picked ones, like the one they sent to Joshua Bardwell, some of those will work really well, but it seems like half of them either burn up on the bench or when you land the first pack, or can't really go above 200 milliwatts without loads of interference. So still got quite a lot of work to do. Whether they're going to be willing to do it or not remains to be seen. So yeah, sorry it's a bit of a downer of a video. There is good news, you know, I've got some good stuff coming up, so yeah, stay tuned for that. And yeah, I hope I've been able to inform a couple of you about some things. If any of you got any questions, I do know I'm pretty up to date with everything that's going on with this, so if you've got any questions, just ask them in the comments section below, and yeah, you know, as always, I'll always answer your comments. So yeah, alright, take care, laters.